Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Malikicowtipper, going to bring you another game of StarCraft 2, and today my opponent is Yeti. So, I did actually, believe it or not, find this guy in Canada. If you go far enough north, you will find Yetis in Canada, because there's nothing but a bunch of rednecks, drunks, and hillbillies up in Canada. And I am just completely kidding about that. I'm from Wisconsin, actually, and there's plenty of rednecks to go around. So if you want a redneck, come here, find one in Wisconsin. And you know what? We might not even make you pay for it. We might just let you take those rednecks off of our hands, because God knows that we actually really don't like them all that much. So check this out. This guy is trademarked good luck, have fun. That's about the coolest thing you can possibly do. He officially owns, you know, the entire idea of having fun and wishing someone good luck while you're playing a game with them. That's just ridiculous. Smug bastard. But going into this game, this is Shakura's Plateau, so just a really nice map, although I've been making a lot of use of the rocks, the back doors, you know, the different avenues of attack that you can have in this map. You don't always need to go right here through the funnel. And played against a Terran the other day who had siege tanks both here, and I didn't know it. I ran through with a lot of roaches and lings, and it was Zerg Food City, man. It was absolutely utterly ridiculous. So both of us prepping up for our early game builds and sending out an Overlord to scout over here, even though it does take a while. You know, you'll know because your drone will get over here whether or not this Overlord's going to find anything. But against a Protoss and the Zerg, it's nice because you can just do a quick sweep through with the Overlord, and you don't necessarily need to keep your drone there as long, but you can keep your drone and your Overlord there and get some uber scouting while you're on the way. So checking this out, we're both maintaining a very even harvester count, and as far as this goes, I will definitely be going for a fast expand build, and I choose to scout the other location, so I will not know quite where he is right off the bat, but that's really honestly okay. He's going for a very standard gateway, you know, pylon wall. If that pylon could have been maybe right here, but we're really nitpicking at that point, you know, he might not even appreciate the fact that I'm like, bro, your pylon's kind of in the wrong place. Yeah, total noob. But my expand going down right here at 16, beautiful right before the probe gets in, and what I really actually should be doing, and I'm actually doing it right now, is I'm going to be putting a drone down here to actually try to block off any potential pylons and just send them to patrol. And this is something that, you know, it seems frustrating when you have to do it because of the sole fact that, you know, you might drop double pylons there. They might not even do that every time to you, but it is one of the most irritatingly frustrating things, like a dead probe, when that happens, because all of a sudden then you're forced to, you know, produce more speedlings than you wanted to right away, or if they drop a cannon behind it, which he will not be. The cyber core is already going down, and this is something that has just been frustrating me to the end of the earth when fighting Protoss early on, is just how fast that cyber core is up, and then if they save up their chrono boost, which this fine gentleman has not been doing, thank you to him for doing that, but they can have warp gates out by like 5 minutes and 40 seconds in the game, and you know, that's just absolutely insane. If we check out the income tab right now, he will start to pull ahead of me as far as income goes, because right now his food is ahead of mine. And if we check this out, going back to the production tab, I have an Overlord on the way, which will hopefully unsupply cap my ass. And then what am I actually going to be doing right here? This is going to be kind of interesting. So there goes 3 more drones and a queen. So seeing this, I know that there's only 1 zealot out, and I can see that he's actually chrono boosting out a sentry, so he was definitely anticipating, you know, some type of quick ling run by. That can be seen because he'd need 2 zealots to block that wall off. But that's not the exact opposite of what I'm actually planning on doing. I want to play a macro game. You know, I really don't want to get dragged into trying to quickly take advantage of you, because if you can wall off and if you can get your warp gates up, my economy is not just as good as yours, if not one step better, and right now it is definitely not. I'm in trouble, so there goes another gateway. Let me check it out. Warp gate is almost halfway done. So, I mean, this can be done in just under a minute if it's heavily chrono boosted. I'm kind of wondering why he's spending his chrono boost on these troops. There's really no danger that he's in, but on the flip side, he absolutely does not know that at all. But, you know, I think it would have been easier just to build 2 zealots instead of wasting the chrono boost on these troops and spend on the warp gate, because that could be done already. I mean, he could already be finishing that up. And just taking a look at this right now, he is up 26 to 21. That is something that's just really hard to deal with as far as that early stuff goes. So I'm throwing down a Roach Warren in response to the fact that I'm basically positive he is going to be going 4-gate at this point. Zergling speed is nearly done, and now I'm producing my first batch of lings, and with these queens, the first thing that you really need to do is get down some creep tumors, and then I try to get the creep spread, because if you're going to reinforce with roaches, you need them there right away, and you just need to be kind of Johnny on the spot. And take a look at this. What I really need to do is send out a few more Zerglings and scout this again, because I need to know what's going on. I kind of need to know when that attack is going down. And what you can do, actually, is you can run up, and if you see that the warp gates are done, you know that the attack is basically imminent. He's just going to run 1 or 2 production cycles, and he may even be ready to attack. If the warp gates are not done, you still have a little bit of time, maybe, a minute or so. But take a look at this. Very sentry heavy. I really do not understand the point of having so many sentries out there. And actually, these Zerglings right here, I said I was going to send out a scout, and trying to get into the base, they do not quite make it, but they serve their purpose. I now know what's coming, so 12 units worth of Zerglings, and that's in heavy response to the fact that I saw, the sentry and all of, the 2 stalkers. I didn't want too many roaches at that point. What I'll need right here is enough troops to hopefully counter this, and then also be able to push it back. So right now, I could probably push out and take down this group of troops. These sentries, really not all that powerful as far as units go. And get the Zerglings around, get the surround, take down the Zealot, and then the Zerglings are just going to go to town on these guys. And now that they're speedlings, the Stalkers have no way of getting away from me. They're just too slow, and I'm gonna be able to run them down and chase them out of this town. This is my hood. Get back, you sharks. This is for the Jets. Anyway, so checking this out, 36 to 26. He is still way up on his harvester count. He has a forge going up right here, and following that forge is going to be a few photon cannons and probably a pretty solid wall. And then once he's done, he'll have a big transition. He's pulling them over right now. Perfect timing. Maybe could have been a second sooner, but whatever. We will not nitpick that, because it's just a good play transition right into 2 base. And checking this out, we're probably going to see him going for a robotics facility. No, a Twilight Council. So probably either going to be seeing Charge or Blink, and maybe some heavy Blink Stalker play. But it may be just a little bit too late in the game, because I've got my... Yeah, we are seeing that. Now that I've got my bases established, I'm also going to be droning hard. I've got a Spire up and running right now, and it's only going to take a few more cycles worth of drones to put me right where I want to be as far as 2 base goes, and I should actually be considering to seek a 3rd base pretty soon, just because if he's going to play macro on 2 base, I got to play macro on 3 base. It's just how, we Zerg roll. And let's just check out the APM for both players. 70 to 58, so neither of us being exceedingly high APM right now, but that's going to change definitely once the battles, heat up and we start seeing some more intense action going down. So +1 weapons, we have Hallucinate, we have Blink, every trick in the book coming out. 46 to 45, so both of us having pretty good, that's right about where you want to be as far as harvesters go. There's perfect balance there. Very good right there, so that's good. I'll probably cease to build drones at this point until I decide to take another expansion. So 6 Mutas popping and 4 Zerglings coming out. And I'm not producing as many troops as I could be producing right now, because I also kind of want to find out what my opponent's going to be transitioning to. I don't want to go hardcore mutiling if I fly mutas into the base and see that he's got, 20 Zealots on the ground and Phoenixes in the sky. I mean, at that point, I just lost. I might as well leave the game and, kick my dog or something like that. No, I wouldn't actually kick my dog. She's way too sweet. And looking at this, I am choosing to build more Zerglings and more Mutas just because I really have nothing better to do with that money. An Evo Chamber is going down, and this is actually more of a preemptive thing. I'm just going to lay down 1 Spore Crawler at each base just to deter any Phoenixes that, I might fear run into my base. So sending my Mutas over to the backside right now, I'm going to be able to pick off quite a few of his probes back here. Let's just check out the income tab and see what I can do as far as that goes. And then I'm going to start working on some pylons, working on some buildings, but there's enough, Mutas just blowing up everywhere. And actually managing to kill 6 Harvesters, force him to move his troops over, waste a Blink, not really wasting a Blink, but actually his army size is quite small. And checking this out, there's a Twilight Council and the Templar Archives. So I saw the Templar Archives, and at this point, I'm basically feeling like I'm going to need to do something else, or I'm going to need to attack. Or the other option that I do have is just to build so many Zerglings and so many Mutalisks I can completely surround his army, pray to God that he storms on top of his own troops, and that'll be that.